107 Meridian FM Breakfast.
Well, we've been tantalising you all morning, and the moment is finally here. It is with great pleasure that we introduce local legend and celebrity chef, all-round nice guy, Mr Tony Tobin. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, loving the fanfare.
Thank you. Well, we thought it would be very appropriate for such royalty on our show this morning.
Oh, thank you very much.
How are you, Tony? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
You're
Very good.
not too early for you?
No, I've been up since the crack of dawn, since about 6. I've been out for a run.
Have you?
Yeah.
Does it make us feel guilty? We've been stuffing our face with pastries.
I know, I've been listening.
Have you?
I've been listening.
Bless you, bless you. Well, thank you, as I say, for coming on this morning. It's fantastic to have you here. We've had so much brilliant response in regards to our Twitter that we've put out this morning for our favourite breakfast dish.
Yes.
So I've got to start by asking you, Tony, what's your favourite brekkie?
Well, honestly, it's kind of plain, because it's streaky bacon, and I don't like it cooked too crispy either.
No, neither do
But
I.
on a wholemeal bun with HP sauce.
Lovely.
But I'm very particular about my bacon.
Okay.
So, in the supermarkets, and I'm not plugging it, I don't have nothing to do with them, but there's a bacon called spoilt pig,
Okay.
or Denhay. I think they're both the same company.
Okay.
It's just, in my experience, the best bacon you can buy.
And what's that, Tony? Is that Danish bacon?
I don't think it's Danish, it's British.
British, brilliant.
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant. Even better, it's homegrown.
Absolutely. And it just, there's no water comes out when you cook it. It just kind of sets up and cooks very, very quickly. It's tender. It's lovely. It's
Is it?
really
Is
nice.
it more expensive, Tony?
Yeah, it is a little bit more, but you get what
It's
you pay
worth it.
for.
Oh,
If you want
absolutely.
water in your pan and all that horrible white stuff that comes out, then, you know, that's your cheap bacon. I think if you're going to treat yourself, spend the money on good
Right.
bacon.
And it's called spoilt pig, is it?
Spoiled pig.
Right, okay, I'll look out. We'll
Look
look
out
out
for
for that.
that.
Well, it kind of leads quite nicely into, because obviously I can hear you talking very passionately about food here. So I think it would be only right to ask you, Tony, when did your passion for cooking and for food probably start? How old were you, and kind of how did it progress from there?
Yeah, I was 8.
Was you?
Yeah, 8 years old, and my mum was making an omelette. And Irish mother, she was always singing Irish rebel songs in the kitchen. I've got 3 sisters, so to stay out of their way, I used to hang about with mum in the kitchen, and that's where I learned to cook. But she was making an omelette for lunch, and she used to crack the eggs into a mug and then whisk it with a fork. And she used to whisk it so fast, I was like fixated. So I said, can I have a go? And I just produced a good omelette, and she said, you know what, you should do more of this, and then the rest is history.
Really? Do you know what? I know exactly what you mean, because that's what my dad used to do a lot of. Anything to do with breakfast and eggs, watching him whisk it in a cup with just a fork. No whisk, no bowls.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
old school.
But then it went, you know, we used to pickle onions ready for Christmas. We used to do those about October, November time. We used to make the sherry trifle on Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
My dad used to take what she called a carry-out, so he used to take a packed lunch to work. And so she'd bake for him, like every other day. She'd make soda bread and rock cakes and cupcakes and all those sort of things. So I kind of learned to do that from a very, very early age. But then I started washing dishes in a local restaurant. I'm originally from the Midlands, and at 13 I was washing up. By 14 I was cooking every night, going to school during the day, working at night. Absolutely loved it. You can't do that now, but you could in those days.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. That's a really good story. I feel like, have you got an autobiography?
Not yet.
Not
should
yet.
have.
You
Working
should
on it.
have. Yeah,
Working on it.
definitely.
Oh, sounds good. And of course, Tony, a lot of our listeners will know you from, of course, the legendary TV show Ready, Steady, Cook.
That's right. I did that for 14 years.
14 years.
Was it 14?
Yeah.
Wow.
Gosh, that was a long
boy,
time.
man.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I loved it. Do you know what? It wasn't like going to work, in a sense, because you'd turn up, you didn't have to bring anything apart from your knives. So you didn't have to plan a recipe, you didn't have to pre-write a recipe. So if you do other shows, it's like, well, what are you going to do, Tony? Yeah, well, can we have that recipe? We need that recipe a week before we get here, make sure it's tested, blah, blah. Not with Very Steady Cook. You turn up with your knives, somebody opens a bag, 5 or 6 ingredients on it, you cook 3 dishes, 20 minutes, glass of wine, knives back under your arm, on the train home.
Lovely. And when did you start that then, Tony?
I started, well, we haven't done Very Steady Cook. I think it's been 3 years since it finished.
Such a shame.
So I was about, I'm 49 now, so yeah, about 30 when I started it.
Gosh. Well, it's funny that we bring up Ready Steady Cook, because Natalie, on her way to the studio this morning, has been shopping. She's been to a local branded supermarket, and she's got a nice carry bag here, Tony. She's going to tell me what she's bought, and we wondered maybe you could help her establish a bit of a dish. Would that be all right?
Yeah.
So go on then, Natalie. So item number 1 then, what are you pulling out?
Okay, the first thing I've got out
Sounds heavy.
is an onion.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, the second item, rather long, is a cucumber.
Okay.
I've got a chipolata. I've got a sweet potato. I've got a stock cube. And, oh God, look at these.
Whoa, look at those bad boys.
And I've got a couple of duck breasts.
Right.
So, duck breasts, chipolata, a sweet potato, cucumber, a stock cube and an onion. What are we going to get out of that from you, Tony?
Okay, well, first I think we'd make, let's see, we shred the onion, cook that in a bit of butter. Obviously we're going to have a larder. I'm ready to cook with stuff in the fridge.
Of course,
cream, butter, all that. So shred the onion, a bit of butter and caramelise that, so nice golden brown, and then make up the stock. Add that, so we're almost making like a nice, rich onion sauce. Cook the sweet potatoes, and then we'll crush them, because we won't have time to mash them, but we'll crush them with maybe a little bit of spiced butter in there, and some spice, some kind of sweet spices going on there, and then some chopped coriander. So then we've got sweet potato with chipolatas and onion sauce. See where I'm going there? Sausage mash and onion gravy. So then we've got what we've got left. We've got duck breast and we've got cucumber. I haven't got a clue. With the duck, maybe I should have saved some of the onion and sweet potato. That's what I've done. So I've saved some of the onion and sweet potato. When we've crushed the sweet potato, we've mixed in some chopped onion and we've made like a potato cake. For which we could then cook our duck breast, slice it, and then cook the potato cake. So you've got sliced duck breast on the top, and that sauce, not really a sauce to go on that. The cucumber is a bit of a problem. I might just blitz that up with some mint and some yoghurt and make a cucumber soup.
That's great.
There you go.
I literally, my mouth's salivating.
Anyone would think you're a chef, Tony.
Yeah, I know.
know.
It's amazing what you could do with just a small thank you. That's absolutely fab.
Natalie's got lunch and dinner sorted for
Yeah,
tonight.
I'm absolutely sorted.
There you go. Can we just say a big shout out to my mate who's listening, Shane Ritchie. He's
hello,
a good mate of mine.
Shane.
Hello, Shane.
Good morning.
There you go.
We
He
did.
said say hello. So there we
Good morning, Shane. We were having a little discussion about this earlier, didn't we, Jack? That who your best mate was, and we were quite chuffed with the fact that it's Shane Ritchie. So good morning, Shane.
Good morning, Shane. Loving your work.
Well, talking of other celebs, this is actually quite rather poignant, Tony, because we'd like to know who is the most famous person you've cooked for, and what did you cook them?
Okay. The most famous. That's quite an unfair question, because we did we went for about 3 or 4 years doing a celebrity ready steady cook, where all our guests were celebrities and famous people.
Of course.
Who's your favourite?
Who's your fave?
Well, my favourite at the time, I suppose, was Jenson Button. Before he was world champion.
Okay.
I cooked for him, and I was really thrilled because I'm a big fan of F1.
Okay.
So that was kind of really exciting. But then I haven't cooked for Shane. Shane was with another chef, but he did the show a couple of times, I think. But I've done various people from EastEnders. We've done people from the theatre. Who's my most memorable?
Singer.
There's too many.
You ever cooked for any of the royals?
No.
No,
I haven't actually.
Not yet.
I would have loved to have cooked for Lady Diana, though.
Yeah,
of course. That would have been my dream. I thought she was a lovely lady.
What would you have cooked her? What would you have cooked her if you could have cooked for her?
What, Lady Diana? Anything she wanted.
Oh, whatever she asked for. Whatever she asked for, she would have got. She would have got. Oh, fantastic.
Duck breast and sausage and mash.
When you think of ladies like that, I would think, if I was saying, we want to have a party here, or it's my birthday, and I really don't know. So I would tend to go down the fish, white fish, flat white fish, because it's not so it's not so strong in flavour.
Yeah.
And it lends itself to serving lighter things with it. So maybe some roasted tomatoes, again, a bit of crushed potato, but nice Jersey raw potatoes crushed with a bit of pesto in there maybe, and then a very light olive oil and balsamic dressing or something like that. So the food's really light but tasty.
Oh, it's brilliant. I love talking about food.
I
It's
know,
just,
I'm
it's
hungry.
it sets us off for the day, doesn't it, really?
It does. Now listen, are you guys wearing any purple today?
Well,
Jack's got purple in his shirt. Does
Brilliant,
that count?
brilliant, because it's Purple Day, which is Epilepsy Awareness Day, and I'm patron of a charity called Matthew's Friends, which looks after children with epilepsy through a diet called the ketogenic diet, through food. So I just wanted to mention that to make everyone aware. Today's
of course,
Fantastic.
Absolutely. And is there sort of a website that our listeners can visit? Or?
Yes, Matthews, www.matthewsfriends.org. They can have a look. If your child or yourself suffers from epilepsy, or know people who do, have a look at the website.
That's fantastic. So Tony, is that a type of sort of menu or set diet that you were saying that they sort of can
It's called the
introduce?
ketogenic diet. It's
right.
The easiest way of describing it is it's like an Atkins diet.
Okay.
Right. So it's very high fat.
Okay.
Proteins, very low carbohydrates and sugars.
Yeah.
Because when a child has had some seizures, they're normally very tired and they lose their appetite and they stop eating. So they kind of starve themselves a little bit. And I think it was found in China hundreds of years ago that when a child is starving, basically the body starts to eat its own fat, which is called ketosis, and that's what happens in the Atkins diet.
Yeah.
And when during ketosis, they don't have seizures, so we mimic that through a diet.
Okay.
And it's only there's a 10% of the kids don't respond to the drugs and stuff, and we look after those 10%.
So
and it works for most, doesn't work for all. Some people can't stomach the diet, but honestly, we've come so far in the last 7-8 years. It's fantastic.
Amazing. Does it restore energy and control the likelihood of seizures? Is that what you're saying, Tony?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. And is there any? And if they go to this particular website, does that give them information about diet as well?
All the information is on there,
that's
and
fantastic.
people can speak to. There's forums, and if you're worried about anything, honestly, Matthew's Friends was started by Matthew's mum, and she tried to get him on this diet. It took her about 6 years to get him onto the diet, because doctors weren't very confident in it, and this was years ago.
Okay.
Now we've done tests at Great Ormond Street, and it's been proved that it works and stuff, and we're going great guns now. So.
Brilliant. So, and it's today's Epilepsy Awareness Day.
It is Purple Day. Yeah.
Purple Day, right?
Purple
Okay.
Day.
I'm
So
gonna go.
put something purple on all your lovely listeners.
We will.
And we will as well, because we're going out tonight. We're going to the Radio Academy, so we'll make sure we wear purple, won't we, Jack?
There you go.
We'll don a nice purple number for you, definitely.
Definitely.
Wonderful.
Now listen, Tony, you've had a very successful career, but I've got to ask you, have you ever had a culinary disaster? Sort of like a major one?
Oh, go on.
lots
Come
of
on.
them.
Have you? Oh, come on. Tell us.
Because we
Well,
have.
on Ready Steady Cook, I was given. Actually, this was an actor that was in EastEnders years ago called Richard Driscoll. He used to play a vicar.
Oh, yes, I remember.
About 8 or 9 years ago, something like that, maybe a bit more. And he brought me in my bag just a 3-kilogram bar of Cadbury's chocolate
Oh.
and nothing else. Now, I love Cadbury's chocolate,
Yeah.
but it should be eaten straight from the freezer. Yeah,
Really?
not
You like
cooked
it rock
with.
hard?
Oh.
Not cooked with.
Okay.
It's very difficult to cook with that chocolate because the cocoa content in it is quite low.
Okay.
So I set about doing 5 different kind of chocolate desserts, and I was going to serve them all on one plate. You know, I did chocolate cigars filled with chocolate mousse. The mousse didn't set. I did a chocolate tart, which I think I overcooked and burnt, and everything was going wrong. It's just the wrong consistencies, and I was having a complete 20-minute nightmare. And it was the days when Fern Britton was presenting.
Yeah.
And anyway, to cut a long story short, I produced 5 dishes that looked probably a little bit like poo, and I won. I got the festival vote.
I was going to say, did it taste like poo as well? But
No,
obviously
it
not.
tasted like chocolate.
Obviously not.
Oh, I love it. That is brilliant. Oh, absolutely fantastic. Okay, now we know you love food, we love food, but if I said to you, what is your 3 favourite dishes, starter, main course and dessert? You know that classic kind of saying, if it was your last supper,
Yeah.
What would you have? What would you have for you? Just whether it was cooked by you or somebody else or whatever. What would you choose?
Okay, I'm going to tell you the dishes. Some of these dishes are on the menu at my restaurant, and I'm not plugging. Well, I am
Of course
plugging.
you
Of
are
course I
plugging.
am.
That's
but
so
they're on
you
there for a
should.
reason. I'm very famous for my scallop dish.
Oh, I
It's
love
a starter.
scallops.
So it's a seared scallop, fresh sea scallops, plucked out of the shells, and we sear them. Actually, we dry the orange roe that comes with the scallop.
Yeah.
We dry that out and turn it into powder, and then we use that to season the scallop before we cook it.
Brilliant.
Oh,
Okay?
sounds amazing.
And so they're seared, and then they're sat on top of a potato cake, which is flavoured with all the flavours from Thailand. So garlic, chilli, lime, ginger, galangal, all kind of put, and coriander, mint, and basil, all put through these little potato cakes, and they sit on top of that, and then it's served with a sticky syrup, which is made from white wine vinegar, sugar, and all those flavours from Thailand.
Oh,
and then it's licked up,
amazing.
so it's hot and sticky, and that's my favourite starter, and it's been on my menu for 20 years.
Fantastic.
My favourite main course is, going back to the flat white fish that I talked about, is turbot.
Oh.
Again, seared in a pan with some butter, and that is served with a boulangère potato, which is caramelised onion on the bottom, and then 5 layers of very thin potato cooked in stock, baked in the oven, and then you cut them out. It's like a little cake.
Oh, gosh.
And that's served with a cauliflower puree, and then a meat jus. So like a meat, very light gravy, which is split out, so it's like half gravy, half olive oil mixed together.
Lovely.
Put over the top. That is a dream.
You're making me salivate.
My favourite dessert
Go on, go for it.
is one that I learned when created actually when I worked for a very famous chef up in London called Nico Ladenis, and he said he wanted me to make him a chocolate tart, and he said I want it like a mousse in a tart. So what I did was I made a chocolate mousse, put it into a pastry case, and baked it for 11 minutes in the oven. And this thing is so light you have to keep your finger on it to stop it lifting up off the plate. Honestly, it's just
And what's
delicious.
it called? What's it? What? So it's
Well, I
just,
call it a light chocolate tart.
Oh,
Or
lovely.
sometimes we call it light as a feather chocolate tart. But it's like, you know, when you break open an aero,
yeah.
when you put your fork through it, you can see all the bubbles inside.
Oh.
This thing is so light. Very cold, obviously, vanilla ice cream and hot chocolate sauce with that.
Oh, sounds
Tony,
amazing.
it's just literally, I'm starving now. I'm really hungry. We're going to play a little game with you now, if you don't mind. Would you mind?
I don't mind.
Yeah, so it's a quick fire round. We play it with all of our lovely guests. And so if you're ready...
You just got to say what the first thing that comes into your head.
Okay.
Is that
All
all
right,
right? Right, you ready?
Yep.
Okie dokie, here we go. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Sausage or mash?
Sausage.
Fish or chips?
Chips.
Ice cream or ice lolly?
Ice cream.
Apple pie or apple crumble?
Crumble.
Roast beef or roast pork?
Beef.
Sautéed vegetables or roasted vegetables?
Roasted.
Chocolate or sweets?
Chocolate.
Sea bass or lemon sole?
Salt.
Pasta or risotto?
Both.
No, you can't have both.
Okay, risotto.
Wine or spirits?
Wine.
Still or sparkling?
Still.
Salt or pepper?
Salt.
Sweet or savoury?
Savoury.
And last but not least, rocket or iceberg?
Ooh, rocket.
Fantastic. Oh, it's not a test, but we just learned a little bit about you, and it's just so nice to hear that there are some similarities between my choices and yours.
There you go.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. We just got a couple more questions, if you wouldn't mind, Tony. And,
Yeah, that's fine.
It's been so nice to talk to you, hasn't
Loved
it,
it.
Jack? What for you? Why for you? Sorry, Tony. What is it that you love so much about cooking and food? What is it that just why is it a passion of yours? I know it sounds a silly question, but it's just what is it?
No,
What is it about it?
No, it's a great question. It's a great question. I think I'm trying to get to the bottom of what it is. Because I can do it, you know when you can do something
Yeah.
and you can show off, it kind of makes you feel good, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're good at football, you love playing football. You know, if you're good at golf, you can't wait to get out on the golf course. So it's something that I've been doing every single day since that day I did the omelette with my mum.
Yeah.
And so I'm a bit of a show-off, I suppose. I like to show people what I can do, and I get such a buzz. I never wake up in the morning and not want to go to work.
That's a
I
good
think for
feeling.
that I'm really lucky.
And I mean, Tony, if you've got, for all the aspiring young chefs out there, if you've got one piece of advice to give them, what would that be?
Yeah, just keep your eyes open and keep your mouth shut.
I knew he was going to say something like that.
You know, because there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And you can come across really cocky sometimes. I've seen it. I might have been a bit cocky myself.
No.
You know, what I did was, the way I got through, and I worked in some really good establishments, one and two Michelin star restaurants, and a 3 Michelin star restaurant, and I found that if I go in early and get all my prep done, then I could do other people's prep, and that's the way I learned.
Amazing.
By doing their jobs. And so my listed job was 3 times longer than everybody else's, but that's how I learned. And you know what? I didn't get tired because I was learning, and I was passionate, and I wanted to learn everything on the menu and how to do it and store it and get it in my head. And that's my advice to anyone else. You know, if you've got the passion for it, you'll make it. But it's just about, you know, not getting above your station. Remember where you come from, and look and learn.
And show willing, really, because everybody likes somebody that's interested, don't they, and willing to learn.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the difference that you can tell. Someone walks into the kitchen, says they want to be a chef, and they stand and watch you with their hands in their pockets all day long. They don't want to be a chef.
No.
People that roll their sleeves up and say, can I do that?
Yeah.
Let me peel those. Let me do that. You know, I still mop the floor sometimes. I still sweep the floor. It doesn't matter.
Of course.
It's a job to be done. And
Absolutely.
That's, you know.
Well, it's great advice, Tony. So we must just say, for those listeners who don't know, you've got your fantastic dining room restaurant, which is 59 High Street.
59A High Street. Yep, the dining room in Reigate.
Lovely. And when's your next? Because I've been. When's your next tasting evening? That is a brilliant night out.
Oh, the gourmet evening.
Yes.
I haven't done a date yet, but I'm running a deal at the moment, which I'll
Go for it.
For
Yes, please.
For all your listeners, listen up. We're doing throughout spring. The spring, so probably for another 3 or 4 weeks. It might be a bit confusing, but we call it half price evens. So all the even numbers get half price on their food. So if you eat for 2, number 2 eats. If you come for 4, 2 and 4 get half price.
Oh, brilliant.
Come for 6, 2, 4, 6 get half price. So
That's
if
a
you
really
phone
clever
up,
idea.
or you can look at our website or follow me on Twitter. It's always on there at Chef Tony Tobin. And you'll see all the information there. Just phone up and say, I want the half price evens offer, and that's Monday to Thursday.
Yeah.
And it's going really well.
Brilliant.
Well,
It sounds like a great idea.
I'd recommend your restaurant to no end of people, because I've been and it's brilliant and I love it. So.
Well, when I've got the date for my next gourmet, which will probably be, March, in April,
Yeah.
I will let you guys know.
Oh,
Thank you.
please
We'd
do.
love to pop down.
And I've had such a lovely time talking to you this morning. Thank you so much, Tony.
You're very welcome.
And have a great day. And good luck with the epilepsy awareness campaign that you're obviously very
Thank you
heavily
very
involved.
much.
Tony, it's been a pleasure. Have a great day. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Tony. Bye.
Bye. Bye.